I mean, the most severe injuries we see would be head injuries, concussions. So with the bull riders where they're getting stepped on by the bull, so they have chest injuries, so they have collapsed lungs or multiple fractured ribs. And if you notice, if you do see a rider wearing a helmet, it's typically because they've already sustained a head injury before or a facial injury, so they've broken bones in the jaw, right, or the cheekbones, right, but they've sustained previous injuries, and they've been told by us or the doctors that if you're going to return to sport, the next concussion may be your last. It may end your career or your life, so you need to protect yourself.
My regalia is actually all handmade. It's a jingle dress regalia, and this jingle dress has originated from the Ojibwe tribes of Ontario, and it's originally a healing dress. And each dress consists of 350 cones that represent the year. And my dress itself is a contemporary jingle dress. And each contemporary jingle dress dancer has an eagle fan. And during their dancing, during the downbeats, the jingle dress dancer holds up her fan to honor the drum beats.
In the behind.
Miss Fitzhenry, I promise you that I will stand by the mail wagon as it is unloaded and fend off any thieves. I have the power of the Royal Northwest Mounted Police behind me. I assure you that Mr. Baker and I will be all the protection that you need. Oh, really?
Heritage Park has about 150 exhibits. We've got 66 acres. We represent 3 different time periods. We take you all the way through the 1880s, all the way up to the 1914 time period. And the house that I'm standing in front of is the Prince House. It's an authentic house that we've relocated to Heritage Park. About 80% of our buildings are originals that were relocated to Heritage Park. The Prince House is a special house at Heritage Park because it's rumored to be very haunted. There's supposed to be a lady in white who appears at the 3rd floor window. I've never seen her myself. However, I did have the pleasure of spending an entire night all by myself in the Prince House at Halloween to see if I could spot the ghost. I did not spot the ghost. So Heritage Park works very hard to make sure that every aspect of the park that we depict is accurate to our time period. So everything from the gardens to how we upkeep the homes to the homes themselves are historically accurate.
Oh! Fell around. Okay.
Take an hour to set this much. When we've set it, we put ink on it, press it down, and we have a proof. The editor would read this, any errors and omissions would be marked, sent back to the operator, probably with a few loud words. He would set the lines only that were necessary and change them.
Men's fashion, the beaver hat, brought Europeans to the Edmonton area of Alberta, Canada. From the Hudson Bay Company forts to modern skyrises, the wildlife, river trails, and entertainment continues to bring visitors to the region.
We have over 15,000 acres of parkland in our city limits. We have over 93 miles of trails, as in cross-country skiing or cycling or hiking. We have 9 bridges to span our North Saskatchewan River Rally just for pedestrians. 165 acres of parkland here, and again, Fort Edmonton Park is the largest heritage park in all of North America. And it's a reproduction of the way Fort Edmonton would have appeared in the early 1840s to promote the Hudson's Bay Company's value in the fur trade. So the fort was strictly a fur trade post. So there was all kinds of tea from Ceylon and China. There was blankets from England. There was tobacco from Brazil. There was incredible wealth of trade items, and so the Hudson's Bay felt that they had to protect it.
A fine question, madam. In fact, we have a number of hierarchies here, really, in the fur trade, and the highest of which being the chief factor and the governor of the Hudson's Bay Company, gentlemen who control districts and even entire swaths of country like Rupert's Land for the fur trade. And they and their clerks, the upper class of the fur trade, like myself, chief traders, or clerks like Finlayson here, have to maintain a bit of British decorum in the West. You have to remember that the men here in the fur trade, the laborers who are sort of a middle class, and the carpenters, the tradesmen, and the laborers who are the lower class, there isn't a great deal you can do to them should they refuse to work. There isn't a mechanism in sort to force them to work. And so one must be very conscious of the image one puts forth in order to inspire authority and inspire loyalty among them. And reminding them that as far out in the West as we are, it is still a British institution, a British company, and a proper civilized form in which the chief factor, the chief trader, is the father, the clerks are the family, and the servants are just that and must obey their superiors, is never lost upon them.
The bakehouse was John Rowan's home, and it was 8,000 square feet, unlike the 500 square foot room that the 3 or 4 families or laborers or tradesmen would have lived in. And this is actually a sundial, and it's actually quite accurate as well. If you take your readings down here and you do your adjustments, as in each square is worth 4 minutes, we would add about 6 minutes to this time. So we're at 4:35. Come on, son, come on.
That's pretty accurate.
It's just a little after that, so it's very, very good. Later on, in the 1890s at Fort Edmonton, they would fire the cannon at noon, and everybody in town would then set their watches. This is where John Rowan, the chief factor of there, would have invited very prominent chiefs and business meetings. Apparently the stories went that they could have a fire just ripping in this fireplace, and a pail of water 10 feet away would be frozen solid. And again, the place consumed about 800 cords of wood a year.
At this point in time, in 1846, the Hudson Bay Company actually owns about 1/12 of the Earth's surface. The British government gave the Hudson Bay Company all the trade rights to all the land that they could reach by river that drained into the Hudson Bay. So they had trading posts as far south as San Francisco. Yeah. What a made beaver is, it's a perfect beaver pelt. So what we were looking for was it had to be 5 open hands across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it had to be